William Carter sat alone in his office on Nexus Station, watching the stars through his window. The space station orbited a neutral planet at the edge of the Galactic Confederation territory. It was home to over 200 different alien species, all working together in what they called perfect harmony. William knew better. He had been the human ambassador to the Galactic Confederation for 3 years now. Most aliens found him boring and plain. He was not tall or short for a human. His hair was turning gray. He walked with a slight limp from an old injury. When aliens thought about humans, they did not think of William Carter. This was exactly how William wanted it. The aliens thought Earth had sent a weak representative. They wondered why humans had not chosen someone stronger or more impressive. What they did not understand was that humans had sent exactly who they needed to send. William picked up his paper notebook and pen. All the other diplomats used fancy computer systems that connected to their brains. William preferred paper. At first, the aliens thought this was strange and even dangerous. They checked his notebook many times to make sure it wasn't a weapon or spy tool. Now they just thought it was a cute human tradition. They were wrong about that too. A soft beep came from his desk. "Ambassador Carter, the council meeting begins in 15 minutes, said the voice of his assistant, Liz Porter. "Thank you, Liz. I'll be there soon," William replied. He closed his notebook and put it in his inside pocket. He stood up, straightened his simple black suit, and checked his reflection in the mirror. Nobody looking at William Carter would guess that. 20 years ago, he had been known as Operative Midnight, the most feared agent in Earth's hidden Special Operations Division. Nobody would guess that he had ended 3 wars before they could begin. Nobody would guess that he had been sent to solve 57 problems that no one else could solve. And nobody would know that in all 57 missions, there had never been any survivors who could tell what they had seen. William left his office and walked slowly down the curved hallway of the diplomatic wing. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved out of his way, not out of respect but because they barely noticed him. Some had skin of bright colors, others had extra limbs or wings or tentacles. Compared to them, William looked plain and forgettable. At the end of the hallway, the huge Dracarian ambassador blocked the path. Ambassador Krell was nearly 8 feet tall with rough, rocky skin and 4 massive arms. The Dracarians were known across the galaxy as warriors and hunters. They respected only strength. "Ah, the human," rumbled Krell, looking down at William. "I'm surprised your species still attends these meetings. What do you contribute, I wonder?" William smiled politely. "We all have our place in the Confederation, Ambassador Krell." Krell laughed, a sound like stones grinding together. "Yes, and some places are smaller than others." He moved aside, deliberately bumping William with one of his lower arms. William did not react. He had been bumped harder by creatures much more dangerous than Krell. He continued walking as if nothing had happened. In the main council chamber, representatives from 50 major species sat in a great circle. William took his seat in the human section, which was far from the center of power. Earth had joined the Confederation only 8 years ago. They were still considered new and untested. The council president, a tall, thin alien with shimmering blue skin, called the meeting to order. "Today we discuss the situation in the Outer Rim territories," she announced. "The Vrecken mining operations have caused disputes with 3 neighboring systems." William listened carefully as the representatives argued. The Vreckens were aggressive, insect-like aliens who had been expanding their territory lately. They had powerful ships and weapons, and they did not respect the boundaries set by the Confederation. "The humans have mining interests in Sector 17, said the Vrecken representative suddenly, pointing one sharp claw at William. "Perhaps they would like to give up their claims to help solve this problem?" All eyes turned to William. This was a test. The Vreckens were seeing how easy it would be to push humans around. William stood slowly. "Earth appreciates the Vrecken concern," he said in a calm, quiet voice. "But our mining operations in Sector 17 were established through proper treaties with the local systems. We will continue our work there as planned." The Vrecken representative clicked his mandibles angrily. "Humans are new to space. You do not understand how things work yet. Sometimes for the greater good, smaller powers must make sacrifices. William looked directly at the Reckon. For just a moment his eyes changed. Nobody else in the room noticed, but the Reckon fell silent. Earth understands sacrifice very well, William said, his voice still quiet. We also understand treaties and laws. Our position remains unchanged. He sat down. The council president quickly moved on to the next topic. Later, as the meeting ended, William noticed the Reckon representative watching him with a new wariness. Back in his office, William received a secure message from Earth Command. He entered his special codes and the message appeared. Vrekan aggression increasing in multiple sectors. Intelligence suggests possible action against Confederation diplomats. Remain alert. Authorization code. Midnight, active. William closed the message. Earth Command was warning him that things might get dangerous soon. They were also telling him that if trouble came, he had permission to be what he really was. He looked out at the stars again. Most humans feared the darkness of space. William Carter did not. He had been the darkness for a long time. That night, as William slept, 5 Reckon ships docked at hidden ports on Nexus Station. From them came 30 armed soldiers with one mission: to teach the upstart humans a lesson they would never forget. The Reckons didn't know what they were really doing. They weren't just attacking a human diplomat, they were waking the Baba Yaga. The Confederation's Unity Festival happened once each year. All the member species gathered on Nexus Station to celebrate peace and cooperation. There were colorful decorations everywhere. Food from 100 worlds filled long tables. Music from exotic instruments floated through the air. William Carter stood in a corner of the main hall watching. He wore his plain black suit with Earth's small silver pin on his collar. His assistant Liz Porter stood beside him, smiling and waving to passing diplomats. You could try to look like you're having fun, Liz said. She was young and still excited about alien cultures. This is the biggest event of the year. William nodded. I'm having fun in my own way. He was not watching the party. He was watching the security guards, the service staff, the way people moved. Something felt wrong. 3 days ago, he had sent a message to Earth Command. Vrekan movements. Suspicious, request additional intelligence. The answer had come back quickly. Multiple Vrekan military vessels missing from normal patrols. Exercise caution. Now, as the festival reached its peak, William noticed 6 service workers who moved differently than the others. They were all from different species, but they had the same watchful eyes, the same careful movements. They were trying to look normal and failing. Liz, William said quietly, I need you to find Security Chief Moltar and tell him to check all service staff immediately. Don't make it obvious. Then come right back here. Liz looked confused but nodded. Okay, but why? Just go. Now. William's voice left no room for questions. As Liz walked away, William saw one of the suspicious workers touch his ear and nod. The man looked human, but William knew he wasn't. His movements were wrong. He was a Reckon in disguise. Before William could move, the lights went out. Emergency red lights came on a second later. Then the screaming started. From all sides of the Great Hall, armed figures appeared. They wore the black armor of Reckon Special Forces. They fired stun weapons into the crowd. Diplomats fell to the floor, unconscious or paralyzed with fear. Nobody move, shouted the leader, a tall Reckon with red markings on his armor. This is a political action by the Reckon Freedom Brigade. We have control of the station's main systems. William stayed perfectly still. He counted the attackers, 27, that he could see. They had planned well. Confederation security would be slow to respond with the systems under Reckon control. The attackers began separating the diplomats into groups. William noticed they were keeping representatives from the powerful species together. The smaller, less important species were being pushed toward the exit. All humans, step forward, called the Reckon leader. William did not move. He watched as 2 other human diplomats were pulled from the crowd. We are missing one, said a Vrekan soldier, checking a data pad. William Carter, Earth's main ambassador. The leader scanned the crowd. Carter, show yourself or we start hurting your friends. William sighed quietly. He had hoped to remain unnoticed a bit longer. He stepped forward. I'm William Carter. The Reckon leader walked to him. The quiet human. You don't look like much. I'm not, William said. Just a diplomat doing his job. The Reckon laughed, a harsh clicking sound. Your job is about to change. Today you become a message to Earth. The Reckon Dominion will not be challenged by newcomers. William was taken with the other important diplomats to the central atrium of the diplomatic quarter. It was a large, open space with a glass ceiling showing the stars above. The Reckons set up defensive positions at all entrances. The leader, who called himself Commander Drex, stood in the center of the room. The Confederation has ignored our demands for too long. Today they will listen. William sat quietly with the other hostages. There were 17 diplomats in total, representing the most powerful species in the Confederation. The Reckons had chosen their targets carefully. Liz Porter had also been captured. She sat next to William, her face pale with fear. What do they want? She whispered. Control, William answered softly. Power. The usual things. Commander Drex was sending a message to the Confederation Council. His demands included exclusive mining rights in the Outer Rim and recognition of Reckon authority in 3 disputed star systems. They'll never agree to that, Liz whispered. They know that, William said. This isn't about getting what they're asking for. It's about showing they can hurt the Confederation any time they want. Hours passed. Outside the atrium, Confederation security forces were gathering. William could hear them through the walls. They would be planning a rescue, but it would take time. The Reckons had chosen a defensible position. Commander Drex grew more agitated as the Confederation refused to meet his demands. He paced back and forth, his mandibles clicking angrily. Perhaps we need to show them we are serious, he said finally. He walked to where the diplomats sat and looked them over. His eyes stopped on Liz. This one, the human female. 2 Reckon soldiers grabbed Liz and pulled her to her feet. The Confederation needs motivation, Drex said. We will send them a body part every hour until our demands are met. Starting with her hand, Liz tried to pull away, her eyes wide with terror. William stood up. All the Reckon weapons turned toward him immediately. Sit down, human, Drex ordered. Don't do this, William said. His voice was still quiet, but something in it made everyone in the room stop moving. You don't understand what you're doing, Drex laughed. I understand perfectly. I am taking what my people deserve. No, William said. I mean, you don't understand what happens next. There are rules, Commander Drex, rules that have kept humanity at peace with the galaxy. You're breaking those rules. Your rules mean nothing here, Drex said. He raised his weapon and pointed it at William's chest. Sit down or die. William looked at the gun, then back at Drex's eyes. Last warning. Let her go and surrender. I promise you will be treated fairly. Drex was surprised. This plain, limping human was threatening him. He struck William across the face with his weapon. Know your place. William didn't fall. He didn't even move. A small trickle of blood ran from the corner of his mouth, but his eyes remained fixed on Drex. I tried, William said softly. Then something changed. It was subtle, but everyone saw it. His posture straightened. The limp vanished. His eyes seemed to reflect the red emergency lights like a predator's. Operative Midnight, he said, speaking to no one in the room. Authorization code, Baba Yaga. Protocol initiated. And then, he moved. The first Reckon never saw William move. One moment the human diplomat was standing still, blood on his lip. The next moment the guard's weapon was gone, and his neck was broken. The guard fell to the floor without making a sound. The other hostages gasped. The remaining Reckons turned, confused. Their training told them to watch the entrances for Confederation forces. They weren't prepared for danger from inside. William moved like water. He flowed between 2 more guards, taking their weapons and using them against the others. 3 more Vreckens fell in less than 4 seconds. "Kill him!" Drex screamed, firing his own weapon. William wasn't there anymore. He had already moved behind another guard, using the Vrecken's body as a shield. The guard took the shots meant for William and dropped. The red emergency lights made the scene look like something from a nightmare. William's shadow stretched across the floor, much larger than his actual body. Many of the alien diplomats later said it looked like the shadow had moved by itself, reaching out with long fingers to grab the Vreckens. Liz Porter had fallen to the floor. She watched with wide eyes as her quiet, boring boss turned into something else entirely. His movements were perfect, without any wasted energy. He didn't seem angry or scared. He looked calm, as if he was just doing another day of work. A Vrecken rushed at William with a knife. William stepped aside at the last second. He grabbed the attacker's arm and twisted. The knife fell. William picked it up and threw it across the room. It hit another Vrecken between the eyes. "Secure the exits," Drex shouted. "Call for backup." But the Vrecken soldiers were confused and afraid now. They had come prepared to fight Confederation security, not whatever this human was. Some tried to run. None of them escaped. William had fought in 100 battles on Earth and other planets. He had been engineered by the best scientists on Earth to be stronger and faster than normal humans. His bones were reinforced with special materials. His muscles were denser. His mind processed information twice as fast as a regular person. He had trained for 30 years in every fighting style humans had ever created. But more than the physical changes, William had something else. He had the mind of a predator. He could see weakness, he could sense fear, and he never ever stopped until the mission was complete. 7 minutes after he had said protocol initiated, 15 Vrecken soldiers were dead or unconscious on the floor. William stood in the center of the atrium, breathing normally. He wasn't even sweating. Only Commander Drex and 2 guards remained. They had backed into a corner, weapons pointed at William. "Stay back," Drex shouted. His voice shook with fear. "We still have explosives planted around the station. I'll detonate them if you come closer." William stopped moving. He tilted his head slightly, studying Drex like a scientist might study an interesting insect. "No, you don't," William said. "You're lying. Your mission was to take hostages and embarrass the Confederation. If you had explosives, you would have threatened us with them earlier." Drex's mandibles clicked rapidly. It was a sign of extreme stress in Vreckens. "You're not human, what are you?" "I'm very human," William said. "More human than you can understand." He took a step forward. "There's a saying on Earth about my kind. When violence is needed, send a diplomat. When diplomacy fails, send a soldier. When soldiers fail, you send me." The 2 Vrecken guards fired their weapons. William dropped to the floor and rolled. He came up behind one guard and struck him at the base of his skull. The guard collapsed instantly. The second guard threw down his weapon and raised his hands. "I surrender, please," William nodded. Wise choice. Only Drex remained. The Vrecken commander pulled out a small black device from his armor. "This is a dead man's switch. If I release it, the bombs will—" He never finished his sentence. William had thrown the knife from the fallen guard. It hit Drex's arm, making him drop the device. William crossed the room faster than anyone could. "Follow." He grabbed Drex by the throat and lifted him off the ground with one hand. "There are no bombs," William said. "But there is you, and you hurt my assistant." Fear filled Drex's eyes. "Please." "We didn't know." William looked at Liz, who was still on the floor watching with a mixture of awe and horror. Then he looked back at Drex. "Know this," William said. "Earth did not send me here because I am a good diplomat. They sent me here because I am the last thing anyone should ever want to meet." He lowered Drex to the ground. "But today is your lucky day. I'm going to let you live so you can tell others what happened here." Confederation security forces finally broke through the doors. They rushed in with weapons ready but stopped when they saw the scene before them. 25 Vrecken soldiers lay on the floor. William stood in the center, holding Commander Drex by the collar. "The situation is under control," William said calmly, as if nothing unusual had happened. Security Chief Moltar, a large blue-skinned alien, stared at the bodies on the floor. What happened here? William handed Drex to the security. Officers. The Vrecken attack failed. I protected the other diplomats until you arrived. Moltar looked confused. You did this? Alone? William straightened his suit jacket. The limp had returned to his walk. He looked once again like the plain, forgettable diplomat everyone knew. I got lucky, but everyone in the room knew it wasn't luck. The security cameras had recorded everything. Within an hour, the recordings were being studied by top Confederation officials. By the next day, every important person in the galaxy had seen what William Carter really was. Liz approached William as the medical teams took care of the other diplomats. Why didn't you tell me? She asked. Tell you what? William said. That you can... She couldn't find the words. William smiled slightly. I'm just a diplomat, Liz. That's the truth. But what you did was necessary. He finished for her. Sometimes diplomacy requires action. As they left the atrium, William knew that everything had changed. His cover was blown. Earth would need a new strategy now. The Confederation would never look at humans the same way again. His secure communicator beeped. A single message from Earth Command appeared. Protocol Baba Yaga completed. Return for new instructions. William put the communicator away. The legend of Baba Yaga was about to spread across the stars. 3 days after the attack, the Confederation High Council called an emergency meeting. The large meeting room was fuller than usual. Representatives from every member species wanted to see what would happen. Many of them had watched the security. Recordings of William Carter fighting the Vreckens. The videos had spread across the galaxy faster than any official report could. William sat alone at the human section. Earth had ordered all other human diplomats to return home temporarily. This left William as the only human on Nexus Station. He could feel the stares of the other diplomats. Some looked afraid. Others looked curious. A few seemed angry. The council president, a tall blue-skinned alien named Zor-El, called the meeting to order. We are here to discuss the events of 3 days ago. The Vrecken attack was defeated, but it has raised serious questions about one of our member species. He looked directly at William. Ambassador Carter, the council requests that you explain yourself. William stood up slowly. He still maintained his appearance as a plain, somewhat boring diplomat. But now everyone knew it was an act. They had all seen what he could do. There is nothing to explain, William said in his quiet voice. Terrorists attacked the Unity Festival. They threatened diplomats. I defended myself and others until security arrived. You killed 15 trained soldiers with your bare hands, said the Dracarian ambassador. No normal human could do that. William nodded. I have training beyond what is typical. The room filled with angry voices. The council president had to call for order 3 times before the noise stopped. Training, said a small green alien with 4 eyes. The recordings show you moving faster than our sensors could track. You broke through Vrecken armor with your fists. This is not training, this is something else. William remained silent. He had been instructed not to reveal too much. Earth was still deciding how to handle this situation. The large doors at the back of the room opened. A new human walked in. She was tall, with short gray hair, and a face that showed no emotion. She wore a black uniform with Earth's symbol on the shoulder. Her name was Linda Vance, and she was the head of Earth's Special Operations Division. Director Vance, William said, surprised. Earth had not told him she was coming. Linda walked to the center of the room. The council has questions. I am here to provide answers. The council president looked confused. And you are? Director Linda Vance, Earth Special Operations. I have been authorized to tell you the truth about humanity. The full truth. William's face showed nothing, but inside he was shocked. Earth was changing the plan completely. After years of hiding what humans really were, they were going to reveal everything. Linda stood in the center of the room facing the council. For thousands of years, Earth was isolated. We fought wars among ourselves. We created weapons that could destroy our entire planet. We nearly wiped ourselves out more than once. The aliens listened in silence. During this time, we also created soldiers, special people who could fight better than normal humans, people who could move faster, think quicker, and survive wounds that would kill others. People like William Carter. The council members looked at William with new eyes. We call them operators, Linda continued. In our oldest stories, we have a figure called Baba Yaga, a nightmare that hunts other nightmares. Our operators are our Baba Yagas. They go where no one else can go. They do what no one else can do. Are you saying all humans are like this? Asked the Tressian ambassador, a small bird-like alien. Linda shook her head. No. Operators are rare. 1 in a million, perhaps, but they exist. And when Earth joined the Confederation, we decided to keep them secret. Why? Demanded the Dracarian. Why hide such warriors? Linda's face remained calm. Because we wanted peace. We didn't want other species to fear us because of what a few humans can do. We wanted to be judged by our arts, our sciences, our diplomacy. The room was silent as the aliens considered this. Ambassador Carter, said the council president, are you one of these operators? William nodded once. I am. Before I became a diplomat, I served Earth in other ways. How many more of you are there? Asked another alien. Enough, William said simply. Linda stepped forward again. The council should understand something important. Ambassador Carter showed great restraint during the attack. He could have killed all the Vreckens in half the time. He chose to disable most of them instead. This statement caused another wave of whispers among the aliens. If what you say is true, said the council president, why send such a dangerous person as your diplomat? Was this a threat to the Confederation? Linda smiled slightly. Just the opposite. We sent our best to show our respect. Carter has more diplomatic experience than any other human. He has ended conflicts that could have destroyed worlds. He was the perfect choice to represent Earth. And now? Asked a small voice from the back. Now that we know what he is? Linda looked around the room. Now you know a bit more about humanity. You know that we come from a harsh world that made us strong. You know that we have learned to solve problems in many ways, some of them violent. And you know that despite having these abilities, we chose the path of peace. The council chamber remained quiet. The aliens were thinking about what they had learned. Some looked afraid. Others seemed impressed. William stood up. If the council wishes, I will return to Earth. A new ambassador can be sent. The council president looked at the other members. Many of them nodded. That may be best, Ambassador Carter, the president said. At least until we have discussed this matter further. William bowed slightly. I understand. As the meeting ended, many diplomats hurried away, avoiding William, but a few approached him, curious and less afraid. The Dracarian ambassador, who had always treated William with disrespect, stood before him now. You could have broken me in half any time you wanted, he said, his voice a low rumble. William nodded. Yes, but you never did, even when I insulted you. That would have been poor diplomacy, William said. The Dracarian made a sound that might have been a laugh. Humans are more interesting than I thought. He walked away. As William left the council chamber, Linda joined him. Earth is changing the strategy, she said quietly. No more hiding. Why? William asked. Because now they know what one human can do. Imagine if they learned about the rest on their own. Better to control how the information comes out. William nodded. It made sense. What happens now? Linda smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Now Earth reminds the galaxy that we come in peace, but we're very good at war. 6 months after the attack on the Unity Festival, William Carter returned to Nexus Station. The Confederation had spent that time learning about humans. Earth had sent information about their history, their wars, and their special soldiers. They had not told everything, but they had told enough. William stepped off the shuttle and walked through the arrival area. The aliens moved aside for him now, not out of fear but out of respect. They nodded to him. Some even smiled in their alien ways. Things had changed. Humans were no longer seen as the new, weak species that had just joined the stars. Now they were known as survivors from a harsh world, a species that had nearly destroyed itself many times but had always found a way to continue, a species that had created people like William Carter. William walked to his old office in the diplomatic wing. It was exactly as he had left it. His paper notebook still sat on the desk. The stars still shone through his window. A soft beep came from his desk. "Ambassador Carter, the council meeting begins in 30 minutes, said the voice of his new assistant, Ben Kelly. "Thank you, Ben. I'll be there soon," William replied. He straightened his suit and checked that his earth pin was straight. Then he walked to the council chamber. The chamber was full again. Word had spread that the human ambassador was returning. Every species wanted to see him. William took his seat at the human section. It was no longer at the back of the room. Earth had been given a more important position, closer to the center. The council president called the meeting to order. "Today we welcome back Ambassador William Carter of Earth. The council has reviewed all information provided by Earth about their special diplomats." William nodded politely. "We have also studied the Recon attack and Ambassador Carter's response. The council finds that his actions were justified to protect the lives of other diplomats." There were murmurs of agreement around the room. Even species that had been afraid of humans at first had come to see that William had saved many lives that day. "The Recon government has officially apologized for the actions of the terrorists," the president continued. "They have paid compensation to all affected parties and have promised to control their extremist groups better." William knew the real reason for the Recon change of heart. After seeing what one human could do, they were afraid of what might happen if they angered Earth again. Fear was a powerful motivator. After the meeting, William was approached by many diplomats. Some wanted to talk about Earth. Others wanted to discuss new trade deals. A few just wanted to be seen talking to the famous human who had defeated 27 armed terrorists alone. The Tressian ambassador, a small bird-like alien, looked up at William. "Is it true that all human diplomats are like you? Special soldiers?" William smiled slightly. "Some are. Some are just regular diplomats." "How can we tell the difference?" asked the Tressian. "You can't," William said simply. The Tressian made a whistling sound that was their version of nervous laughter. "That is concerning." Later that day, William met with Security Chief Moltar in a private room. The blue-skinned alien seemed uncomfortable. "Ambassador Carter, I want to apologize for our slow response during the attack. If we had been faster, perhaps you would not have needed to reveal your true nature." William shook his head. "No apology needed, Chief Moltar. Your team did their best against a well-planned attack." Moltar looked relieved. "Thank you, but I must ask, now that we know what humans like you can do, will Earth send more like you to the station?" "They already have," William said. "There are 3 operators on Nexus Station right now. They arrived last week." Moltar's eyes widened. 3? Who are they?" William smiled. "I can't tell you that, but they're here to help keep the peace, not to cause problems." The security chief looked worried as he left the meeting. William knew that Confederation officials would now look at every human differently, wondering if they were dealing with a regular person or someone like him. That evening, William received a secure message from Earth Command. It read, "Phase 1 complete. Confederation perception of humanity successfully adjusted. Proceed to Phase 2. Phase 2 was already underway. Earth was negotiating new trade deals with 15 species. They were offering advanced medical technology that could help many worlds. They were sharing art and music and literature. They were building bridges of friendship. But underneath it all was the knowledge of what humans could do if those bridges were ever threatened." William looked out at the stars. Earth had wanted to join the galactic community peacefully. They had hidden their strength to avoid scaring other species. But now that their secret was out, They had found a new kind of peace. One based on respect rather than deception. The next morning, William walked to the main dining area of the diplomatic quarter. As he entered, conversation stopped. Aliens watched him cross the room to get his food. A young Dracarian diplomat approached William's table. "Ambassador Carter, may I join you?" William nodded. "Of course." The Dracarian sat down. "My father told me about you. He said humans are more interesting than he thought." William remembered the Dracarian ambassador who had once looked down on him. "Your father is a wise diplomat. He also said I should learn from humans, that your species has much to teach us." The young Dracarian looked embarrassed. "I wanted to ask if you would consider mentoring me." William was surprised. This was unexpected. "I would be honored," he said. Word spread quickly. Soon, other young diplomats asked William for guidance. They wanted to learn from the human who had shown such skill in both combat and peacemaking. 6 months later, William had a class of 20 alien diplomats who met with him weekly. He taught them about Earth history, about human negotiations, and about finding peaceful solutions to old problems. He never taught them about fighting. They didn't need to know those skills. What they needed was to understand that strength without wisdom was useless, and that true diplomacy came from knowing when not to use your power. 1 year after the attack, Nexus Station held another Unity festival. This time security was much tighter. There were no attacks, no violence. Representatives from all species, including Reckons, celebrated together. In a quiet corner of the festival, William Carter watched the aliens dancing and talking. Some humans had joined the celebration, mixing freely with the other species. Williams' secure communicator beeped with a message from Earth Command. Phase 2 complete. Humanity's position secure. Continue normal diplomatic operations. William put the communicator away and smiled slightly. The legend of Baba Yaga had spread across the stars, but it had brought respect rather than terror. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy, not as conquerors, not as victims, but as equals, who could be either gentle friends or terrible enemies. The choice belonged to those who met them.